Good evening, everybody. We're about, 50 minutes later than what I wanted to start at. Turns out my audio seems to be very loud. Just give me a second here. It seems like every time I want to do an upgrade, okay. Microphone was at full volume, so let me just see if I can get a little bit of a better calibration. I think this should work. Oh, hang on, I think I'm on the...
This should be a little bit better. All right, so it seems like if ever I want to upgrade my OS, I'm going to have to deal with a whole bunch of nonsense regarding my gaming activities. So Endless Legend isn't working. I really like the company Amplitude, but they seem to have fallen into the category of we'll support Mac so long as you buy our game, but don't actually expect us to support it. So Endless Legend is presently unplayable on the latest version of Mac OS. OBS still continues to believe that there are ready-made sort of desktop audio capture solutions. I seem to be dropping a lot of frames. Let me just take a quick look. Just 1 second, guys. I'm just gonna leave this on the main menu and see if I can do something about these drop frames. Back in a sec. Not without killing the stream, it looks like. If anybody could just let me know if it's particularly bad as far as any kind of delay is concerned, but I'll do my best to get through this and see whether or not it's that big of an issue. Actually, I just want to double check one more thing. Yeah, there's no downloads running. Alright, so yeah, with the new version of Mac OS, I have to deal with games not being supported at the moment, so going to give special condemnation to Endless Legend for not doing that. And then OBS continues to insist that there are desktop audio solutions, when in fact there are not. So I'm back to using Soundflower, which was previously broken on the last version of Mac OS. Mostly just because they didn't have, there's like a set of permissions that you need to have enabled. So that seems to be fixed now, but if there are any problems with the in-game audio, I'd love to know it to see whether or not I can fix it or get a different kind of a solution. So in any case, first stream since the upgrade. I suppose I should have expected some kind of difficulty, but it's frustrating, especially today I had a midterm. Definitely did not feel like I put in the performance like I thought I should have on that one. I'm just generally feeling tired. I actually have a homework assignment that I still need to typeset. But I know I missed the stream last week for good reason. I did get a chance to talk with some professors after a seminar. I went to a seminar tonight as well, but decided not to go for the drinks afterwards. So you get some Shadowrun tonight. But again, because I have homework and just I want to make sure I'm keeping on top of school stuff, I am giving myself something of a strict bedtime. And because I had all these problems trying to set up the audio, this means that probably the stream is going to be a bit shorter than people would like. So without further ado, let's jump into the game. The MTR train pulls away from the station. You become lost in the crowd. Just another face traveling to the central towards Kowloon. Every second puts blessed distance between you and the hornet's nest of the knight-errant soldiers you've left in your wake. With the data planted and the GPS module in your possession, it seems that the Ares Asia will place the blame for your run at the doorstep of Red Dragon Association. The loss of the prototype laser is unfortunate, but allies are often more valuable than gear, especially in the shadows. With any luck, they'll be able to pay you back. Hey, Akakadak, it's great to see you again. Thank you for the retweet. So I believe we talked with Kindly Chatting already. Yep. Hello, everyone, by the way. I'm seeing a few bodies lurking in. I haven't completely turned everybody off from last week's stream. Or last Friday's stream. Didn't feel great about it, and actually something happened to the Crusader Kings 2 save, which I'm going to save that for Friday, but it's pretty frustrating. But we'll get through it. Nicolix7, how's it going? Good to see you as always. Here we go. The Red Dragon Association just got framed for industrial espionage at Ares Asia. Damn, that's cold. How'd that go down? Someone stole a prototype from Ares Asia while planting evidence. Vicious. The buzz in the network is that they're getting chewed up right now by Yao Sim Mong. I wonder if Ares is in the chewer. Or if Ares is the chewer. Let me see what I got for you. Grab a program. Here's my surplus stack. Law grabs a nearby bin and slams it down in front of you. Check this shit out! I don't need any programs. Have you got some new in? I'll bill this as a data expense. Wampo will recognize the intrinsic value of information. Information is money. Boom! It's a pleasure handling Meta with you, 71. Law beams happily. Little Meta is a fresh memory defragment. Makes my whole day better. See you later, Law. You gotta go? Okay, watch your back and shoot straight and all. Law grins at you and dexterously flashes a hand sign that Shadowrunners give each other in Holovid shows. I got things to do too. Yeah, so actually, for the few people who are in here, you get a spoiler for Friday. But Akakadak, what happened at the end of last Friday's stream? I thought that I had stopped the game when in fact it was still running in the background, and so no less than 2 revolutions happened and basically just ran without any intervention on my part. And then while I was trying to clean up one of them, my character died, and so I have less than 1/5 of the territory that I originally had. Like the game is basically ruined, but I'm gonna try and get through it. Alright, so I'm going to start by getting the pay data. Your workstation and mission computer. The cool blue tones of the workstation's main menu fill the screen. A blinking message in the upper right corner notifies you that you have one unread message. From Gobbet to 71. Subject, Auntie Chang and Josephine. Hey Seattle. I think I can add a little context to that thing between Auntie and Josephine Tang. You know, the thing that makes Auntie hit the sauce and talk revenge. This is a combo of stuff I heard and stuff I put together myself, so your mileage may vary. For years, the Yellow Lotus acted as tax collectors within the Walled City. Since the Walled City was built by Josephine Sang and the Yellow Lotus was run by Auntie Chang, they must have had a working business relationship. For a while, at least. From what Nightjar told me, he was her favorite. You got that, right? Auntie was known as a real up-and-comer back then. She was on the fast track to be the next Yellow Lotus 438. That's a big deal gig, Seattle. Money and power galore. Now you need to know that there were a lot of triads and corps doing biz in the Walled City. All sorts of stuff. Sometimes they work together nicely, and sometimes people get bloody. The way I heard it, Auntie came up with some sort of grand plan to consolidate business in the Walled City. The power would have been split between the Yellow Lotus and Sang's company, and everyone would get a cut of it. If her plan worked, Auntie would rise through the Yellow Lotus like nobody's business, and Josephine Sang would make long bank. There was a catch, though. In order for the plan to work, both women would need to jump through a lot of hoops. There'd be street-level maneuvering and power plays on Auntie's side, and blackmail and negotiations at the corporate level from Josephine Sang. My info gets sketchy here, but from what I've pieced together, Sang went behind Auntie's back and took the plan to her boss, a 438 named Wong Lung Fat. They cut kindly out of her own plan. Why'd Sang do it? My guess is that she saw Auntie as some sort of threat. People in the know say that Wong Lung Fan is weak and greedy. She can be manipulated if her palm remains well greased. Long story short, power was consolidated in the Wall City, just like Auntie had planned. Only she didn't wind up getting any of it. Her climb up the Lotus Ladder came to an abrupt halt. She's still a Shaw sandal, just like before Sang backstabbed her, and now she's stuck in Haoi like a fly in amber. I'd be pissed too if it were me. Gobbet. Yeah, so the one thing I'll say about it is that I think the appeal for games like Crusader Kings 2, and personally I think any sandbox game, but I like to make the point, especially for Crusader Kings 2, because it's so complicated. If you can't enjoy when things don't go your way as much as when things do go your way, it's probably not the game for you. Obviously, I don't mean this to you personally, Nikolic, but just in general, I think especially when people are learning the game, it's very easy for things to go wrong. And I mean, I don't think any game should be built so that you only get enjoyment when you're winning. And it'd be interesting to see whether or not the game is constructed such that, a setback like that doesn't completely destroy a playthrough. Like, I might just get tired of it and stop playing, which would be unfortunate. But I want to see whether or not there's enough kind of going on in the game to come back from something which I really feel is not... I mean, obviously I was dumb enough not to pause. I mean, clearly I thought I was, but I think, something that is largely not a strategic fault on mine. It's just a problem that I had, operating the game properly. And, I guess I just got unlucky. I mean, there's a lot of events that will pause the game, but for whatever reason, it didn't. But, to see whether or not something like that can be fun to dig out of or not. So, we'll see. I should get payment. Search BBS for relevant keywords. Looking for Decker. Looking for experienced Decker for a discreet milk run on a low-level corporate lab. Potential for a longer-term arrangement. We're a team that's been together for years, running the basic heist and the occasional transport gig. We've got a reliable fixer and a long list of happy clients. Requirements. 1. You must not take experimental stims during run. 2. You must have a good sense of humor. Give me some Nuya and 888. Weren't you just looking for a Decker a little while back? I saw your ad, but I was wrapping up a one-time run with an old partner who's moved away. I'd be interested in meeting. Isn't Muffin Top Ninja your fizz ad? Runs with Scissors 2056. Someone call my name? Muffin Top Ninja. Hey MTN, long time no beer. We gotta catch up, Sensei. Bring me on as your Decker. I guess the kid who answered your last ad didn't work out? Runs with Scissors 2056. Ugh, that's an understatement. I think we can count on you not to consume any drugs during runs, most specifically drugs that were part of the payload. Fatal experimental drugs were part of the payload. Muffin Top Ninja. Ouch. Runs with Scissors 2056. It's not even a rookie error. It's just lack of common sense. Real shame that. Anyway, I'm glad you're on board, Runs. We're not gonna have a problem with you. Muffin Top Ninja. No more posts in the thread. Oh, damn! Crunkalunka! Thank you very much for that, host. So, guys, I do a lot of recommendations on this channel, and you know that I will go over the top on them sometimes. However, I'd also like to point out that, it is content that actually has, it's genuine stuff. So I'd like to take a special minute, because I don't get a chance to do this very often. But I'd like to take a minute to shout out Crunkalunka, who's hosting us right now. So way back when I was starting off on Twitch, I was playing a game called Sword of the Stars: The Pit, which I've actually kept installed on my computer because I would like to get back to it one day. But I realized that it has a degree of complexity that I'm going to need to sort of handle. I think it's a game that I would probably have a bigger problem not knowing how to play properly. And I know there's a very committed and very, good in terms of behavior on Twitch fan base, but one who's probably going to get a little frustrated with me not playing the game properly. Now, I'm not going to count Crunkalunka amongst that, but I'd just like to say he's actually somebody who has sort of been here since the very start, really supportive, and where I did get a number of people who sort of came into the channel from sort of the stars of the pit. He's actually one of the ones who has stayed throughout a bunch of the stuff that I've played, be it FTL, Shadowrun, Crusader Kings 2, or something like that. Doesn't talk a lot in chat, and doesn't always necessarily talk a lot on stream, so it's a very different style from mine. But I will also tell you, out of all of the people who I watch on Twitch, he's the one who's probably played the most games that I haven't seen before and I actually want to try. He's sort of my secret weapon when it comes to checking out stuff that's off the beaten track that I haven't seen. So in addition to being a really great guy, he's actually somebody who I think probably maybe needs a little bit more credit than he gets in terms of viewership, but also somebody who actually does stuff that I haven't seen on any other channels. So in addition to the fact, you don't chat that much, but you enjoy looking here. Yeah, Crunkalunka. I do occasionally notice, as I've said, you've probably heard me say a couple of times, I tend not to shout out the people who haven't specifically spoken in chat just because I tended to scare people off. But I haven't completely been ignorant of your presence in chat. Thank you very much for that, host. And yeah, for those of you who, again, I hope I've given you at least a little bit of a taster in terms of why you should check him out. But he's, again, in addition, I was going to say one great thing about this channel is the personalities that it attracts. I think you guys are a lot of fun to have in chat. And in this case, it's a very good match between a great streamer and a great audience. But I especially want to recommend him to you guys just because if ever I'm looking for new stuff, I'm usually going to find it from Kong. So, hope you're doing well, by the way. All right. Want to trade eyes, will take anything. I acquired a huge supply of cutting-edge cybernetic eyes. My fence did a runner, so I've got eyes up to my eyeballs, as it were. Make me an offer. Shankmeister 007. No, I'm not much too strong. They've got the whole 9 yards. 2010 vision, camera, low light, and thermographic models. One size fits all. Sold in pairs. Sold in pairs only. Box set. Shankmeister 007. Colors: brown, blue, violet, hazel, green, green flecked with gold, chrome. And you've got to install them yourself. Shankmeister 007. Trade you a Ranger Arms SM3. Comes with a matching briefcase. Squinty face. Deal. Message me. Shankmeister 007. Can I swap you my old Cyber Eyes for a new set? Lextalionis. Seriously, anything but that. Shankmeister 007. Can I buy one blue and one brown eye? Hunky Dory 71. No, but you can buy 2 pairs. Sheesh. Shankmeister 007. Miss Cupcake. I don't know. Normally on Mondays I play Shadowrun, and on Fridays I play Crusader Kings 2. I will say Monday isn't actually set up as a... You must only have been watching me on Fridays and Miss Cupcake. Actually, normally Mondays are a lot more freeform than they've been lately, because once Shadowrun Hong Kong dropped, I wanted to get through it, and I've kind of stalled a little bit. I've had a couple of days where I don't go through, mostly because of school things. But yeah, we do. This is definitely more than a Crusader Kings 2 stream. Yep, that's great to see you again. How's it going? And you too, Miss Cupcake. I probably should have said a proper hello to you. Uncle C's House of Pork. If anybody has the hankering to go to Uncle C's House of Pork in Tayo, I can only say one thing. For the love of all that is holy, don't. I haven't been able to leave the house in 2 days. The only reason I can even post here is because the RAS overdried on my deck. Beely. Oh, that's really surprising, Miss Cupcake. So this... are you familiar with Shadowrun at all, either as a tabletop RPG or as a computer game? What did you eat? Maybe you were just unlucky, Sir Yum Yum Cha. All I had was some shumai and ribs. That's pretty basic and hard to mess up. Unlucky is when I get a bad orange at the market. This isn't unlucky. This is something else. This is some kind of vile gastrointestinal sorcery, Beely. Oh my god, I only ate there once. Once! I still have nightmares. It felt like I'd eaten a wasp nest if the wasps were made of rusty razors and also on fire. Maofu. I thought I was being clever by getting the pulled pork sandwich when I ate there. Nope. Aside from basically getting a pile of congealed sludge and the bread being moldy, it was a week before I could hold down anything more than a solid congee. Letipix. What, are you all a bunch of children? Yeah, the kitchen is dirty, but I've eaten there dozens of times and not once have I gotten sick. Grow up and learn to eat adult food. Ratstar123. Wait a second, aren't you the person who was raving about that food cart in the corner of Kimberley and Observatory? You told me to get the yuzu glazed horse tripe. Maofu. Yeah, how'd you like it? Pretty good, huh? Ratstar123. If by good you mean the consistency of tar and old tires, yes. The tripe must have been a week or more old, and I'm pretty sure I smelled rot once the initial citrus blast wore off. Take note, this user's advice on food is not to be trusted. Maofu. Oh god, reading that actually got me to push past the RAS override. Now my deck is covered in vomit. Thanks guys, I mean it. Nothing I love more than being sick and disgusting. No more posts in this thread. Well, that's fine, Miss Cupcake. I'll try to do my best to explain the game once I get through some of the dialogue here, but there's actually a few features about this that I really like, so I definitely want to take a minute to give you a proper intro. By the way, one thing I'll also give a special thanks to for Black Dahlia and Ewok Fuzzy Nuts and that, I noticed from sort of hanging out in their chats when I haven't been able to, even though I didn't have the most consistent streaming schedule last week, we're actually, we just celebrated 400 followers not too long ago, and we're at 419, which of course is one away from a particularly favorite number in my side of Canada. So thank you very much. The support that I've been getting from you guys, especially when grad school has been taking its toll, is never fails to humble me. All right. Walled City embezzlement history. I'm uploading another Walled City report, this one old, from just after they built it. I ended up digging into the history of the place. It's just archival plain text. Isabel. Consolidated Press, Hong Kong desk. Sang Mechanical Services, Sang, was again accused in a joint lawsuit headed by Wujing Incorporated of embezzling hundreds of millions of nuyen during the construction of the Walled City low-income housing project. The plaintiffs filed official complaint on Monday, stating that the construction contractors had been heavily pressured by Sang to use cheap construction techniques, while kickbacks, graft, and misrouting of funds caused several hundred million nuyen to vanish. Sang's legal team strenuously objected to the accusations, citing lack of proof in the corporation's own damaged fortunes. Legal spokesman Li Qishan had this to say: "The Walled City contract was a disaster for my client. The project was sabotaged at every turn by union activists and competing corporations. TMS struggled heroically to complete the project despite this interference." Hey, Jesse Quill. Great to see you again, as always. For those of you who don't know, Jesse Quill is another Team Panda streamer. Very gifted caster, somebody who streams much more regularly than me and has put a lot of thought into her layout. In fact, she was the one who I had a suspicion that there was something said at she said so I noticed a bunch of casters have actually started making their face cams a little bit bigger, and I'm almost wondering if somebody released some mobile numbers for Twitch or something like that, because it's the only thing that I can think of that is spawning this way. All the people I know who are doing this are people who are at TwitchCon, but that's my hypothesis. In any case, steps like that are an indication of somebody who puts a lot of thought into her stream. So she is certainly no stranger to a lot of you on here. But for those of you who haven't given her a follow and want somebody who's more consistent, more friendly, and just generally somebody who's actually worth watching, feel free to stop by her her stream. Oh, and Miss Cupcake, I am going to tell you some horror stories, but only after Shadowrun. By the way, what did you do for your undergrad? Right. These parties have now added insult to injury by fabricating charges of malfeasance based on the very obstacles which they themselves created. This has truly become a theater of the absurd. Is it true? According to Consolidated Press financial analyst Gertrude Schoen, it seems unlikely. Sang has struggled financially since the Walled City project. Sang stock, ticker symbol TMQ, Hong Kong and Tokyo exchanges, is trading at about 40% of its peak, which it reached just after receiving the Walled City contract 4 years ago. Although investigators have indicated there is no evidence of possible misconduct, no misappropriated funds have been found. And the CEO, Josephine Tang, recently sold her Victoria Peak estate, citing financial difficulties. If TMS or the Sang family have benefited from the stolen Walled City funds, they're not showing it. Mrs. Sang could not be reached for comment. I always thought that Sang rocketed to success on the back of the Walled City. They sure trumpet that in their PR. Dongjiang. Yep, it's a brilliant piece of historical revisionism. The Walled City was a huge loss of face at the time, but they've rebranded the whole fiasco over the last couple of decades. Maybe their underbidding made them seem like a real sucker and bought in their contracts. Isabel, I find the fact that you posted a financial article to be charming. Wait, Prism, did you just hit on Isabel? Amanita's gonna skin you. Freedom Cowboy. No, that's just WP. He's incapable of flirting. Would you date a woman named Amanita and then try to charm someone else on the BBS? WP is just an aggro mentat with a poor social filter. You two must have an interesting relationship, Freedom Cowboy. Let's just say we radically complement each other, Amanita. No more posts in this thread. Oh, congratulations, Miss Cuppycake. I don't know if I'll have a publication by the end of the Masters. I did do an undergrad thesis, but I'm certainly not considering on doing any kind of publishing. I don't even think it's good enough to publish, if I'm completely honest. I've been doing a kind of a research assistantship for this first term of grad school. And the prof has really been pushing me to do a little bit of extra, and she's sort of she said she wants to incent me properly on a couple of things. So if I do sufficiently good work, we may wind up trying to publish something together. But I don't know, we'll see. I'm not gonna cry if it doesn't turn out, but I would like to get into research. Computer science engineering is definitely interesting. I TA'd a little bit for comp sci, but nothing major. It was just I did an introductory programming class, an intermediate programming class, and then eventually I did a little bit of theory. All right, so I guess I have held back for a bit, and I'll tell you a little bit about Shadowrun. So this game, it was originally a pen and paper tabletop RPG. It was first published, I think, in the late 80s, at the very least the early 90s. And it takes place in a cyberpunk future. This is kind of apparent just by the overall setting. But what is unique about it is that it is an age in which a major supernatural, almost cataclysm occurred, in which basically magic was restored to the world. You have, mythical creatures coming back. There are dragons. There are spirits. There's magic. There's, everything going on. So William Gibson, kind of the father of cyberpunk, really does not like this property. He says it's ridiculous that somebody tried to do what I did and combine it with Tolkien or something like that. I think that's a little unfair, but I sort of see where he's coming from as well. So yeah, Miss Cupcake, that sounds like something I'll wind up publishing if I'm completely honest with you. So the cyberpunk genre is it's always going to be an interesting one, right? Like if you go back to stuff like Blade Runner and just, rain and neon and the ideas, especially regarding artificial intelligence and, income inequality, growing powers of big business, globalization, all of these kinds of things are, I think they've always been topical. But I think especially now, they're enjoying a little bit of a renaissance. It's also kind of interesting to see how different the world turns out too. So, for instance, in Shadowrun Hong Kong, China basically collapsed in this world, and Hong Kong declared its independence. And of course, this is the time the new currency is New Yen, because around that time, everybody was worried that Japan was going to be the one that would overtake the U.S. and buy up everything. Of course, Japan is coming out of, or possibly still going through, a lost decade. And China is the new kid on the block. So it's kind of neat. One thing that they did was they didn't bother to revise any of the anachronisms in the game, which I think is really good for them. And instead, they just sort of let the world kind of grow organically. But it's neat because you have dragons sort of becoming these CEOs of corporations. So instead of a dragon sitting in a cave, sitting on a hoard of gold, instead they're these shadowy corporate interests. It really takes this idea. So if you want to, this is not my view of big business. But certainly if you are of the temperament to be very mistrustful of large business interests and sort of have this idea of lobbying and trying to unduly influence the world. I mean, we just had the TPP signed, and so there's certainly a lot of feeling that there are too many business interests which are not serving the common person's interest. I mean, I've not read the text of the agreement. It's not been made available yet, so I'm reserving judgment. But it's in this case, you're making these ideas that people have in the modern day, and you're giving them a mythical form. So now instead of just kind of being the shadowy conspiracy in smoke-filled rooms, there is actually something tangible, right? It's not just sort of this feeling that the world is sort of slowly pushing down on the common man, but rather there's actually a sinister force that you can find tangible. And so it's really neat. Like with a good storyteller, this setting can actually be a very interesting way to explore some very relevant themes. Again, income inequality is another thing that's been coming up quite a bit. And I mean, in Shadowrun, you have these, people working on the fringes of society. Shadowrunning can be as much an act of rebellion as it is an act of necessity, that you don't want to be, a bum. And so instead you sell yourself to corporate interests to do their dirty work. I think it's a lot of, I don't know. I think there's a lot of very interesting ideas in this game, and I think so. The original author of the RPG wound up buying the rights back, and he's got a gaming company called Harebrained Schemes. They went on Kickstarter to make it's a small game called Shadowrun Returns, and then they made DLC, which basically eclipsed the original game called Dragonfall, which is probably one of my favorite RPGs to have played in recent memory. And we had such a good time with that when they kickstarted Hong Kong, and they said that Hong Kong was going to happen no matter what. But what they were going to do is they were going to kickstart it to put in all the extra features that they couldn't afford. And so I think Harebrained Schemes does a really great job of sort of keeping customer oriented in terms of their early access and their Kickstarter practices. Well, basically, I think they're using the platform the best way. It's customer friendly. They're making great games. They keep seeming to be able to outdo themselves. And Shadowrun Hong Kong seems to be shaping up to be as good of a story, as complex and as interesting of a story. So, all right. Claim the payment for the Ares prototype run. You submit the job as finished and await the response. A few moments later, a message pops onto the screen. From Steel Arm Lou to 71. Your payment is attached. I confess that I am very pleased with your work. It's not every runner who could have pulled off a job of this magnitude. Well done, Lou. View all pending jobs. Oh, you know what? I already have a job. Get some rest. All right, Miss Cupcake. I apparently haven't learned my lesson from Friday to talk about controversial things, but what has you up in arms about the TPP? A stabbing pain in your stomach jolts you awake. Your entire abdomen is cramping up. You roll in your cot, willing the shooting pains that radiate from your stomach to go away. Your mouth is bone dry and your tongue is swollen. It feels thick and inarticulate, like a useless slab of meat. A quick glance at your PDA tells you that it's 4 a.m. Outside your cabin, the rest of Hawaii sleeps. All that you remember of the dream that you woke from is horrible, unfulfilled yearning, and a need to get back to where you were going first. Others were behind you. You could feel the heat of their breath on your neck. If you were to beat them to your destination, you could slam the door in their faces, keep them out and away from what was yours. But if they overtook you, you'd feel that terrible longing forever. As you grasp at your last fleeting memories of the dream, a wave of exhaustion washes over you. It feels like you've been drugged. You collapse back into your cot and into a black dreamless sleep. When you open your eyes again, the sun filters under your door. It's morning. Yeah, that's fair, Miss Cupcake. One thing that did surprise me a little bit was the reaction to the secrecy. I'm not necessarily going to say that this is the best way for trade agreements to be done like that, but I noticed a lot of people were making a big deal about fast track and secrecy, and that's actually normally been the way that a lot of trade deals have been done. But the concern, of course, that I have is that, in the kinds of societies that we live in, generally you want some kind of back and forth with the citizenry. So, I mean, again, I need to wait on the actual text of it, because the impressions that I got from the press releases was that a lot of what people were really worried about was that it was generally moderated, and that it's largely an agreement that seems to just kind of streamline the way of doing business. But then, until there's actually the wording of the agreement, I'm not going to know that. So, actually, Miss Cupcake, so the thesis advisor that I had for my undergrad is actually somebody who's done quite a bit of work on lobbying in the United States. He's certainly, the impression I get is he's quite liberal in his politics as well. I don't know if I can quite define myself as that. I definitely wouldn't call myself a conservative by any stretch of the imagination. But I tend to notice I'd like to think of myself as centrist on a lot of stuff. But yeah, I mean, this is the big thing. Like, I understand people's concern, but I think the thing that I like the most is to hear people giving voice to them. Because ideally, the exchange of ideas will be what allows us to either learn something new or, or maybe to hear a perspective that causes us to maybe reflect on our own positions. Like, I'm certainly not an authority on any really any given subject, except maybe occasionally some of the stuff that I have to say about Crusader Kings 2. So usually, whenever I ask questions like that, there's definitely the style of individual who will, ask an opinion and then spend the next, 40 minutes attacking you for it. But I'm generally just a little bit more interested in hearing people give voice to what they're concerned about. So thank you for sharing. All right, let's talk to my foster brother. You enter to find Wu stalking on the floor silently, one hand held rigidly near his hip, the other flexing and unflexing again and again. When he notices you, he nods once and goes back to his caged panther routine. What did you think about the last run? Wasn't there. You kept me on the bench. Anyway, enough about that. Need anything else? You're gonna wear a hole in the floor that way. Wu keeps pacing. Need something? Are you going to be okay? Yep, just trying to maintain. Pacing helps. Been thinking about Josephine Sang, what she did to our family, what she did to Carter. His pace increases a bit, his tusks jut forward slightly. Josephine Sang. Goddamn Josephine Sang. And how I'm going to make her pay for it. All that thinking and pacing, and that's what you came up with? That you're going to make her pay for it? I was thinking of all the ways I could make her pay. Easy, Duncan. Wu's mouth becomes a straight line. That's what Carter used to say. Not this time, Gustav. This time, old Duncan is coming out to play. Wu's eyes smolder. Here's what we do. We walk into Sang headquarters and ask for the boss. When she comes down, we grab her, take her somewhere quiet, and ask her why she had Carter and those runners killed. Find out what happened to Raymond, whether he's alive or dead. What happens next is up to her. Kidnap a member of the Hong Kong Executive Council while there's an APB out on us? It's bold. They'll never see it coming. This is the way to go. My way. My way, Duncan? Yeah, my way. There's one way this is gonna go. He catches himself. Understanding appears in his eye. Oh crap, that's what Ray used to say. Raymond Black, our benevolent dictator. No questioning his rules, no falling short of his expectations. It was his way or the wrong way. Raymond could be pretty harsh when we didn't live up to his standards. Oh man, do you think? You remember what happened a few years after we moved out of the squat and into the house? The thing with Double Tray and Lockjaw when he accused us of relapsing back to our old ways? Man, that was when Ray's authority finally got tested. His raspy baritone is tinged with satisfaction. When I finally stood up to him. He could be pretty damn rigid, but then you both could be. Yeah, I know. I've been working on it, but I definitely still have my moments. Ray and I had our little pattern, didn't we? He wouldn't listen. He wouldn't listen. I wouldn't listen. He wouldn't listen. Then we butted heads, rinse and repeat once every few weeks. He smiles, but it's filled with regret. But that time was the worst. His face settles into an expression of resignation. Okay, Mr. Lee, we don't need to do things my way. No need for us to butt heads. He stretches. You can hear the joints crack. And on that note, I'm going to have to ask you to clear out. It's been another long day. I'm getting the feeling that they're all going to be long days. Yeah, I'm getting that feeling too. Anyway, have a good night, Gustav. I'll catch you tomorrow. It's the morning. You just like talking about things you're not educated about, and you prefer to agree to disagree when it comes to political disagreements. You're a passive liberal. Yeah, it depends. I mean, I'm mixed on it, to be completely honest. I would like to give a full-throated defense of my views, but I'll definitely tell you that there are people who I largely feel like I go through the motions for, because it's, you know, it's very clear that they're interested in telling you what's what. They're not very receptive. I definitely like a back and forth on something rather than just what kind of passes for most so-called discussion. But it is what it is. As you step into Isabel's cabin, she turns to face you. The desk that she's been working at is a mess. Food wrappers and computer extension cards lie together in a heap. Isabel herself doesn't look much better. Her eyes are badly bloodshot, and her lips have been drawn into a deep frown. You're back. Hey. She shoves a box of assorted mounting screws with her foot. What do you need? Any thoughts about that last run? I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Mostly because with Ares, the alternative is leaving in a body bag, especially when you're stealing a prototype laser. Good pay or a good night's work. That's what this business is all about. If you can walk away and get paid, it's been a good job. I kind of wish we'd kept that laser. Because hey, it's a laser. That's awesome. But you did the decent thing, really. You helped those runners out. Let them keep their rep and both of us could get paid. It's good quality in a team leader. I'm glad I've got you running the show. Anything else you wanted to know? How are you holding up? Not great. I'll manage. Is there anything that I can do? I seriously doubt it. Appreciate the offer, though. When I unlocked these old memories, I told you that they were crystal clear, right? Every detail was perfect. It's still that way, and I think it always will be. Then I guess the question is, if the memories aren't going to change, can you adapt to living with them? Honestly, I don't know. It's like having an eidetic memory. I'm stuck with a perfect record of every shitty thing that I saw and felt during my childhood in hell. It's not an easy thing to live with. I knew a guy back in the Barrens who got his arms hacked off with a machete. I'm pretty sure that he can't forget his past either, but he found a way to live with it. That's a different kind of pain, but I appreciate what you're trying to say. Anyway, let's get down to business. The sooner we're done with the walled city, the sooner I can try to move past this. I think I've had enough time to process what's in my head. I should be able to give you some answers about the walled city. Not all of the answers, mind you, but something. So if you've got a question, ask. Let's see where this goes. She runs the tip of her tongue over her lips and nods. A look of fierce determination seizes her. Go on, ask me a question. I'm ready. How did you get out of there when you were a kid? How did you escape? She heaves a sigh. Gobbet let me out. How'd she manage that? The Avatar raises a hand. Go ahead and ask her. I'm sure that she'll be happy to brag about it. But I think we have more pressing matters to discuss. That's all for now. Can we talk about something else? Please. To be honest, almost anything else would be preferable. I'm going to try another question about the walled city, but yeah, it's not going to work. Alright, good. I've had enough for one day. I'm tired of reliving this stuff. It's exhausting. Come back later if you must, but when I've had more time to unpack the stuff by then. But until then, please give me some space. Yeah, Miss Cupcake. I mean, it's very Canada's not necessarily any better right now. The party that we have, in fact, both sides of the political spectrum have gone very much to the extremes of their side. So I don't necessarily think Canada's conservative movement is quite to the state of I'll say the cartoon version of guns, God, and no government kind of conservative. But I mean, with that in mind, it's definitely a very hardline group compared to what we're normally used to. So, which is a shame. Like, I think in the end, it would be better if both sides could have sort of enough, if not overlap, then at least, kind of enough shades of gray that you were making some very specific, decisions in terms of policy. So in terms of, maybe what's a better way to say, if you could come down to maybe some of the basic things that people would associate with, let's say, a Republican viewpoint, which would be, the idea of how much should be left to individual states and how much should be left to a federal government. I mean, if you have that conversation right now, this usually comes down to something like, should there be discrimination against gays? Which is a shame, because that should really be a no-brainer at this point. And it seems to me that the discussion in terms of, what level of government should certain responsibilities be given is one that's worthy of a little bit more than a conversation as simply as we tend to have about it. But in the end, I mean, I can't change the way that the candidates are going to be speaking to each other. I can't change the way that people are going to respond. So I can only affect my own response. Chalk, have you looked at getting panels? Sorry, off the top. No, never mind off the topic questions. I don't know what you mean by panels, though. Gobbet glances up at the sound of your approach. A slight smile crosses her face. Hey, pal. She puts her hands on her hips, sending Madness scurrying. Are you ready for your next lesson? In a bit. I wanted to ask you something else first. Yeah? She flips a tangled rope of hair back over her shoulder. Go ahead, then. If you need to ask, ask. Got a question about Isabel. Oh, yeah? Well, sure then. Ask away. She told me that you let her out of the walled city when you were kids. Care to fill me in on the details about that? Yeah? Well, I guess I'm not surprised. Iz has never been big on padding a story with unnecessary detail. Want to tell your side of the story? It seems that you've got a vested interest in the walled city these days. Yeah, sure. Why not? I'll share. She taps her thin chin thoughtfully. To start, I guess we're going to need to know about what the walled city was like when me and Iz were kids. She didn't tell you anything about that, did she? She wasn't big on volunteering unnecessary information. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. She reaches down, absent-mindedly strokes Madness's silky coat. The rat chirps happily at her caress. Well, for starters, you should probably know that the walled city wasn't always as bad as it is now. It was always dangerous, but 10 years ago that was just a run-of-the-mill slum. Still safe enough for it that anybody walking in didn't qualify as a suicide attempt. Keep going. Back then, I used to play in the walled city. Rat would lead me into all the nooks and crannies that the grown-ups were too big to fit through. There was this other young shaman there that I used to play with. His name was Happy, or Lucky, something like that. He followed Pig. Nice guy. Good card player. Obviously, none of this was a good idea. A teenage girl going into the walled city by herself. That's a recipe for disaster. I didn't realize any of this at the time, though. I loved playing in the alleys and the crawled spaces of the walled city. It was fun. Is that how you met Isabel, by exploring the walled city as a kid? Yep. Inside the wall, there were these districts. You were in one earlier when Cheng sent you after Strangler Bao, the Lotus Den. How many districts are there? A lot. Some of them aren't much bigger than an apartment building. You'd be surprised how many people you can cram into a single room when you have to. Isabel and her family lived in the Mansion district. It's a sort of holding pen for refugees from the Middle East and Africa. Basically anyone who is an Asian, European, or goblinoid. It's less pleasant than it sounds. Why is it called the Mansion district? The locals named it after Chungking Mansions out of Tsim Sha Tsui. Sort of an inside joke. Mansions are the unofficial African quarter of Hong Kong. Most of the free enterprise zone's African immigrants settle there if they can afford it. The destitute refugees, like Iz and her family, don't get to go into the Chungking Mansions. They get herded into the walled city, and once they're inside, the Mansion district is where they wind up. Forced relocation, huh? I guess some things never go out of style. No, they don't. And once the refugees arrive in the Mansion district, their prospects don't exactly improve. The only things that most people in the mansion had in common were the color of their skin and the fact that they were living in crushing poverty. They didn't even have a common language to speak. It was a pretty rough place, lots of infighting, lots of gang-on-gang violence. People did band together for protection, but there wasn't a lot of hope. Everyone lived in fear of being sent deeper into the slum toward the center. When you start getting dragged in that direction, you don't come back. Sounds like a charming place. Yeah, charming. That's where I met Isabel. It wasn't long before we were friends. She was interesting. Why I let her latch on to me? Girl was smart and savvy and cripplingly shy. She didn't belong in the walled city. No one really does, but for her it was painfully obvious. She was like a little mouse trapped into a box full of weasels. It was only a matter of time before somebody snapped her up. But you got her out of there before that could happen. She nods. That's right. More accurately, Rat got her out of there. She came to me in a dream, showed me whatever was going bad in the walled city was getting worse. The whole place was rotting from the inside out, choking in bad chi and lost hope. I decided to go inside one more time. If I found Isabel, I'd offer to lead her out. If I didn't, well, she grimaces, spreads her arms. I get it. You don't have to explain yourself to me. Thanks. It isn't pleasant to think about, especially considering what a shithole the walled city is now. The truth of the matter is, if I hadn't pulled Isabel out of there, she'd probably be dead by now. I get it. Someone did the same for me and Duncan once. She nods. Yeah, I knew you'd get it. And I did bump into her, and she did follow me, and Rat got us both out safe. So there you have it. Happy endings all around. What about Isabel's family? She said that they were still in the walled city. Why didn't you bring them with you? You think that I didn't want to? She sweeps a loose strand of hair out of her eyes. Look, it was going to be dangerous enough to get Isabel out on her own. Dragging a whole family out with her would have been impossible. Why? Because they weren't like me and Iz. They hadn't grown up on the streets. They were upper-class people back in Somalia before they emigrated to Hong Kong. They were hopelessly out of their element. Even if I managed to find them, they probably would have done something stupid and gotten us killed. So you just left them? Damn right I did. Even if I'd managed to convince them to come with us, they would have gotten caught. The Yellow Lotus would have kidnapped them if they were lucky. If they were unlucky, the thrill gangs or the Orange Leggers would have gotten them. It wasn't worth the risk even to try. She sniffs. Besides which, Isabel didn't want to bring her family. She wanted to get away from them as much as she did the walled city. Never could get her to tell me why. What about the other people who stayed behind? That other shaman that you knew? They went bad. Crazy. That pig shaman that I knew wound up going full-on toxic. It was horrifying. He burned himself out in an orgy of blood. She shudders. Nasty business, and not for me. Toxic? What does that mean? When a shaman goes toxic, he goes bad. It's like if you invert the usual meaning of a totem, that's what a toxic shaman does. Dog shamans are loyal and friendly, like the good dogs are. A toxic dog shaman is rabid. They're both dog, but they're different aspects of dog. Get it? Yeah, and your pig shaman friend went toxic? That's what I heard. You don't want to know what happened to him, what he became. It was pretty bad in the end, before the locals overwhelmed him. A lot of people died. That's all. Can we talk about something else? Sure, ask away. I'm all ears. Any thoughts about the last run? I think it went pretty well. There aren't a lot of runners who can say that they went up against Ares and came out ahead. Sure, maybe the job could have gone a little smoother, but how are we supposed to account for another runner team showing up? Adaptability, Seattle. That's what makes a good runner. Always go with your instincts. I think you made the right call giving those guys a laser. I mean, sure, who doesn't like lasers? But would another gun really make that much of a difference for us? The team sounded like the kind of people who wouldn't forget a debt. Sometimes that's the difference between living and dying, who you call in a pinch. Pumpkin Man 18, how's it going? By the way, Yeps, that's I'm not quite sure what you meant by saying getting panels. That's fine. I mean, I don't necessarily mind. I'm pretty open in terms of shifting topics or moving on to other things otherwise, but I just wanted to make sure you didn't feel like you were being ignored. So, what else did you want to chat about? I'm ready for my next lesson. Right, good. This is the one about people like Auntie Chang and why we need them. There won't be a Q&A session after the story, but I want you to listen up. It's important. I'm all ears. Alright, so here's the upfront lesson. Fixers are important. You can't just go to a Johnson yourself and get a job. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. It's a bad idea all around. You want to tell me why? Because Auntie Chang and people like her serve a purpose. You get a job from her, and you can trust she's vetted the client. That's important. It protects the whole team. Yeah, Miss Cupcake. Actually, sorry, that was the other thing about this game that I meant to mention. Yeah, it kind of it seems like chat interaction just suddenly died, so I don't know if I said something, but the one thing that I really like about this game is the fact that they don't have any recorded dialogue, so it gives me a chance to do some of the reading. It does make the game a little bit slow at points. I don't know if I'll be able to get to a mission tonight just because I've got so much story stuff to get through. But it's an interesting story. I think the dialogue is quite well written, and I do enjoy hamming up some of the different characters when it comes down to it. She takes in a breath and lets it out slowly. You remember the lesson from last time? The one about Sui and the shiny object? How could I forget? Well, after the run was over, we went back to the sinking ship for some R&R. Sui had told us that the client would be sending a boat to collect the shiny object in the morning. All that we had to do was keep the thing safe until the handoff. We were in a celebratory mood. We'd killed an evil wizard and stolen a priceless artifact. A good night's work by anyone's standards. Hanu and Egret got good and drunk in record time. Sui went back to his cabin with the shiny object to, I don't know, stare at it for a while or something. I retired to my cabin and crashed out. It'd been a long night. Hey, new brains. Good to see you again. Glad to hear it, Miss Cupcake. I remember waking up to sounds. Yelling, maybe? I was groggy, and they were far away. I couldn't quite make them out. The clock said 4:30 a.m. People were always playing on the raft, playing loud music, shooting off fireworks, that kind of thing. So loud noises early in the morning weren't unusual, but something felt off somehow. That'd be your subconscious trying to warn you of something. She nods. Yeah, a lot like a panic attack, really. That full-body certainty that something is wrong. So I got up to investigate. If something was wrong, I wanted to know, and if it wasn't, I figured that I might as well get in on the party. I stepped out into the hallway and my foot slipped. I came down hard, landed on my ass, and found myself sitting in a pool of blood. That's not good. She shakes her head, grimacing. No, it was pretty bad. So it was pretty obvious by this point that something had gone horribly wrong. My first thought was that the shiny object might have, unleashed something. After what I saw it do in the warehouse, I wouldn't have been surprised. I shook that one off pretty quick, though. I knew what this was. Our client was playing us. He'd hired us to steal the thing rather than paying us for the job. He'd sent another team to take it away. Oh, congratulations, Krunkalunka. What are you planning on playing? So what did you do? I got up and beelined for Malvina's cabin. She was the closest thing to the sinking ship had to a leader, and the strongest rat shaman on the raft. Why go to her? Why not head straight to Sui's cabin? She stares at you blankly. Because I'm not an idiot. Sorry, that wasn't aimed at you. But think about it for a second. If there's a retrieval team coming for the shiny object, and they were strong enough to handle Sui while he was holding it, what chance would I have of stopping them? I figured that it was time to bring out the big guns. Malvina was the one who I could get them from. I passed some pretty bad stuff on my way down to Malvina's cabin. It was old man Julian's vault all over again. The torn up bodies, the blood-streaked floors. I saw people who had been cut apart with machetes, scorch marks on the container walls. She bites her lip, grimacing in the unpleasant memories stewing in her head. Deep down in the pit of my gut, I could feel the thrumming vibration of the shiny object. That heartbeat feeling that I had in the warehouse. It was back, and stronger than ever. Whatever that rock was, it was awake. Did you make it to Malvina's cabin? Yes. I burst through the door, all ready to spread the news, and someone smashed a gun into my face. It was Cadmus, my friend. He jammed the muzzle of his Super Warhawk into my cheek so hard that it hurt, and grabbed me by the belt with his other hand. I wasn't going anywhere. Just over his shoulder I saw Malvina. She didn't look amused. Did you think that they were in on the attack somehow? Yeah, only it wasn't an attack. Our client had nothing to do with it. Turns out there was no client, so he had lied to us. And by helping stealing the shiny object, I'd unwittingly giving him what he needed to foment a mutiny. She pauses for a moment, gathers her rats in her hands and lifts them to her shoulders. They scurry over the leather of her coat and disappear into her hair. As it turns out, betrayal hurts Seattle. Malvina felt it, and I felt it too. Sui had been a friend. I'd just risked my life to save his 4 hours ago, and he tricked me into helping him do something unthinkable. Why do you think he did it? Why all this over a junk heap floating in the bay? I don't know. Maybe he'd gone toxic. Maybe he got ambitious and wanted to be the king of our little aquatic hill. He didn't discuss it with me first, or anything. I'd be willing to bet that something had gone rotten in Sui before we'd ever met. He was pretty damn good at hiding it. Maybe there wasn't a good reason. People do terrible things every day. Yeah, they do. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter why Sui did what he did. All that matters is that he did it. So what did you do? What could I do? I didn't have a whole lot of options, and Cadmus was kind of on edge, like red-faced and screaming. So I opened my mouth and fast-talked my way out of it. I started off doubling down on my loyalty to Malvina, Cadmus, and the status quo on the sinking ship, swearing my undying friendship. You know the drill, and I did a good job of it, but it still looked a little iffy. Iffy with a warhawk is bad, so I volunteered to prove myself by stealing the shiny object back from Sui. That was brave of you. I know, right? Not my style at all. But then I didn't really have a choice. I inadvertently helped him arm the bastard who was tearing our friends and neighbors apart. I don't think I could have cleared my name without taking his weapon away again. It was a hell of a night. I don't think I want to get into too many of the gory details. Friends died. Hell, friends killed each other. It was brother against brother and all that jazz. And Sui's indiscriminate use of the shiny object let a lot of things into this world that shouldn't have been. So did you wind up stealing the thing back from Sui? Yes. It wasn't easy, but I got it. How'd you manage it? Lies and misdirection. Trickery. Rat helped. Some of the things that Sui let loose actually came in handy. He'd summoned so many of them that he couldn't hope to control them all, so he gave me an opening to use them to my advantage. I managed to trick my way past Sui's supporters and into the astral menagerie that he'd summoned. It wasn't easy, but I did it. Then I stole the shiny object, and all was right with the world. And yeah, I'm intentionally glossing over the details. I had to do some things that I'm not proud of, and people died because of it. But I got the damn thing, and I got it back to Malvina. What happened then? Long story short, Malvina put the shiny object to better use than Sui ever did. She took the thing like she'd grown up using it. We still lost dozens of people, but Sui's side lost more. Cadmus was critically wounded, but he pulled through. After the skirmish, Malvina held an assembly. She told everybody that there'd be new rules for life on the raft. Anyone who refused to follow them could leave, and if you broke them, you were done. The rules of the sea and all that. After the pronouncement, she turned on the surviving mutineers. Hanu was one of them. He'd been in on Sui's plan the whole time. She didn't kill them, but she did exile them from the sinking ship. And for people in our economic bracket, that was good as a one-way trip to the walled city. I'd be willing to bet that they're all dead by now. In the wake of Malvina's ultimatum, 5 survivors left the sinking ship. I was one of them. Why did you leave? I had to go. We may have washed the blood off the decks, but the energy of the sinking ship had changed. It wasn't the carefree haven that I'd loved before, and as sensible as Malvina's rules were, I wasn't up to living under them. We parted on good, but sad terms, and as you'd expect, we drifted apart over the years. It's funny, I hadn't even thought of Malvina or the sinking ship in years, not until I decided to teach your previous lesson, and it all came flooding back in. She pauses, turns to you. That's the story. It's finished. But I want to circle back on the lesson that I gave you up front, because it's important. We need Auntie Cheng to bring us work. That's obvious. But we also need her to keep us honest, to be sure that we are on the team and are playing straight with one another. Auntie Cheng's reputation rides on the legitimacy of the jobs that she brings us, and that, more than anything, is why we need her. If we didn't have Auntie Cheng or someone like her, we'd eventually tear ourselves apart. It happened on the sinking ship. It could happen again in Haoi. So anyway, that's the lesson. If you've got a follow-up questions, go ahead and ask them. What did Malvina do with the shiny object? Well, first she used it to get rid of the things that Sui had set loose. Then she put it away for safekeeping. It's probably still there on the sinking ship, ensconced in some shrine or another, held in her lock and key. At least she's keeping it safe. She shrugs. I'd have preferred if she'd ditched the thing, but in the end it wasn't my choice to make. From what I've heard, she's still in power over there, so I guess that worked out okay. And Sui, what happened to him? That walking colostomy bag was already dead, eaten by his own monsters after I took the shiny object away. Turns out he wasn't much good at controlling them without it. Her voice fills with grim satisfaction. He didn't even live long enough to watch his mutiny fail. Thanks, Gobbet. Sure. In Seattle, thanks for listening. These lessons are for your benefit, but I think that they help me too, and it's nice to be taken seriously every now and again. No problem, Gobbet. I look forward to the next one. Her face lights up. Yeah, me too. They're gonna move on. I've got Gobbet things to do. So I think Gobbet is definitely my favorite out of the characters in the game so far. And that's cool. Sorry, Kunk. I know I took a long time to reply to that, but I've never actually seen Dot Hack. And then Azure Dreams is your first PS1. I look forward to both. Ah, my friend, you've done an admirable job. An admirable job indeed. I've already incorporated the technology that you recovered, my stolen tech, into the new chassis that I'm fabricating for Koshai. You move quick. Yes, well, he tips his cigarette. The cone of burning embers tumbles to the ground. I've been waiting for this a long time. The next time we take to the field, you can expect to find Koshai's combat effectiveness considerably improved. He's become truly deathless, just as his namesake was in Legends. When he takes damage, he will mend himself before your eyes. I'll believe it when I see it. And you'll see it soon, my friend. He turns back to the whirring machines that fill his shop, watching their progress with hunger in his eyes. Very soon. Glancing through the box of mementos, you spot a few hitherto unseen items lying near the surface of Gaiku's mess of knickknacks. A pair of chopsticks with stained tips, a torn-out page from a book covered in Japanese writing. Examine the chopsticks. The chopsticks are a simple affair. Black lacquer, obviously cheap and mass-produced. Whatever reason Gaiku has for keeping them, it isn't their age or quality. Taking a closer look at the chopsticks, it becomes apparent that they've seen some rough use. The lacquer near the tips is chipped and flaking away, revealing the wood beneath. The wood itself is stained dark brown and is encrusted with something. Why did you keep these chopsticks? Gaiku bursts into unexpected laughter, almost dropping his sword as he doubles over. He manages to gasp out a sentence after a long moment. Oh my goodness! I had forgotten that those were in the box! He takes a few deep breaths, composing himself. Raising his sword, Gaiku returns to his practice. Tell me, have you ever heard of Tetsuya Nakamura? Is he somebody important? He was a member of Shiawasi's upper management for many years, running most Shiawasi Envirotech's agricultural development. A very bright star. In a corporate world, he died in 2052, and those chopsticks are what I killed him with. Chopsticks? Really? They were the closest thing to a weapon that I had at hand. Nakamura took his security very seriously and employed several highly augmented bodyguards. It was only through several months of extensive planning that we were able to get near him at all. When faced with a challenge, one is often forced to improvise with what is at hand. We had studied Nakamura's schedule painstakingly, particularly his twice-monthly trips to Neo-Tokyo. In Osaka, Shiawasi's presence would have made any attempt on his life functionally impossible. In Neo-Tokyo, though. In studying his movement patterns, we discovered that he would eat at a particular French restaurant in Ginza every second trip, at precisely 8:30 in the evening. It seemed that he had a secret lover who lived in Roppongi, and he was visiting him during his business trips. Owing to his secrecy, he would give his bodyguards the night off when the two met. The restaurant in question was famous for its molecular gastronomy and the precision of their chefs, not to mention the view from the 38th floor. We managed to secure reservations near Nakamura's usual table, but only for two of us. It was decided that Sasaki and I would be the pair to kill Nakamura, Ishida and Amamori would be the ones one floor below, and Takagawa would keep watch from a nearby skyscraper. We carried small but high-powered pistols, as well as tactical knives. We expected it to be easy. So what went wrong?
As I rose to draw my pistol on Nakamura, his lover somehow knew what was happening. He shrieked bloody murder and burst into flames. We discovered after the fact that he was a very powerful mage, but we hadn't discovered this in our surveillance. Somehow we managed to throw a barrier over the two of them that deflected my bullets. When I pulled my knife, it had turned red hot, and I was forced to drop it. Sasaki engaged him in a contest of wills, and I am not sure how that kind of magic works, but could not shatter his barrier. She was too busy dodging the lightning bolts that he was throwing, and since the flames had set off the fire system, well, it was not easy. Nakamura broke and ran, and I pursued him. He had a small holdout pistol, a PB-120 or something similar. I grabbed the nearest weapon that I could find. Gaiku gestures towards you with the tip of his sword. Those chopsticks. I slid them into his brainstem through the trachea. He died without making a sound. Not that he would have been able to hear it over the sound of Amore's machine gun rattling away one floor below. Apparently the bodyguards were not truly given the night off, and were still nearby.
How did you get out?
With the windows blown out, we roped down on the side of the building and disappeared into the night. It was not the cleanest job, but it was very memorable. I still remember the smell. Ozone and bechamel, mixing with the cordite and Vevruz Clicquot.
Thanks, Miss Cupcake. It's actually really hard on my throat, but I wound up going with the voice once, and then I didn't realize his dialogue was so extended, so I'm kind of married to it now. The page is old and highly stylized calligraphy. The page is old and the highly stylized calligraphy is handwritten. The style is so artistic, in fact, as to be functionally illegible to you. This page seems to be missing a book, Gaiku. Gaiku nods in agreement and steps forward to deliver a crosscut in the air in front of him.
Yes, but that page is all I wanted from the book. I look out from the cloudless mountain, at moonlight on the sea, its islands so many rents in a sheet of ice.
Gaiku pivots on the ball of his heel, thrusting the tip of his sword into the darkness of the room.
The poet Saigyo, he was a master of conveying a sense of solitude and emptiness, and I have always found that poem to echo what I feel inside of myself.
Are you of the mountains or the islands?
So often it feels as if I am contained within a ball of ice, floating through the void of this life, cold and solitary. The moments I can share with those who have truly mattered to me is a chip through all that frost, and let me scream out that I am not alone.
Leave the box alone. The cabin is silent, aside from the occasional swish of the air as Gaiku steps through sword forms. He holds each stance for a few seconds, practicing a given swing a few times before switching to the next.
Hello, 71.
A single bead of sweat rolls down Gaiku's temple as he holds his position. After a few moments, he shifts to a relaxed stance, starting the form again.
Pardon me for continuing my exercises. I feel that I have been letting them slip of late.
Hey, Superior Blaze, how's it going? Long time no see. Well, I've seen you on other channels, but I know my schedule hasn't been as consistent, so I haven't had a chance to see you in here, it feels like. How are things going? Don't you ever stop practicing?
No. I aim to achieve perfection, and I must work against my current handicap to regain the level of control that I once possessed. I am stronger and faster than I once was, but I need to learn to use my new senses more effectively in order to bring those advantages to bear.
Gaiku lifts his sword, offering its edge first towards you.
Do you see that edge? Forged by one of the finest swordsmiths in modern Japan. Diamond-coated edge capable of cutting even the most hardened ceramic armors. But what good is a sharpened edge without the precision to apply it? When I was still a man, I could have cut a single pea in half with my eyes closed. Oddly, after becoming blind, I cannot replicate this feat.
Running the back of his claw along the blade's surface, Gaiku smiles thinly.
I think soon I will be able to perform this feat again. I simply have to train my body to ignore the senses it no longer has and pay attention to the new ones. Now, what is it that you would like to discuss?
Any thoughts on the last run?
I'm not certain what insight I could grant you. I was not present for that mission, and so my understanding of it is purely second-hand. Is there anything else that I can do for you?
Has it been difficult to learn to fight while blind?
It is not the easiest thing I have attempted, but neither is it the hardest.
Placing his sword off to one side, Gaiku turns to face you.
Emptiness is form is one of the great lessons from the Hagakure. Train sufficiently, and both swordsmanship and obedience will come instinctively. That is the closest to perfection a man can attain.
I don't put a lot of stock into being obedient. Gaiku feigns surprise.
A lawless Shadowrunner have problems with authority? My goodness, I never would have guessed such a thing to be the case. When I was new to the unit, I thought that to be a good samurai was the ultimate goal, that to serve justly with dedication was the greatest honor a warrior could have. We were all young and foolish once, I suppose.
So what changed your mind?
Beyond my disease? There was a fight in Fukuoka. My former team ambushed me and had a singular effect on my worldview. We were taught that since we were superior to everyone, and that since we were pure humans and Japanese, we would always win. I believe that almost never questioned the validity of this claim, even when confronted with direct evidence to the contrary.
Tell me about when your old unit ambushed you. Miss Cupcake, Gaiku is actually a ghoul. So among the magical creatures that have come back, there is a disease in this game that affects the metahumans. And in this case, it basically makes them consume human flesh. Now, there's a few different, I don't even think stages to the disease, but so much how people react to them. So ghouls traditionally in the game tend to be sort of like trash mobs. Like there can be like feral ghouls, which are basically just sort of brainless monsters that try to eat people. But some of the more interesting characters that you can make in the game actually are, well, maybe not the character that you play, but you could play as somebody who is, trying to retain whatever humanity they have while also being affected by the disease. And there's the assassination of a dragon, and in the dragon's will, he actually leaves an endowment for anybody who discovers a synthetic human flesh for ghouls to eat, so they can sort of reintegrate into society. And sorry to hear about College Superior Blaze. I am reading, but I didn't want to break the dialogue like I'm doing now.
Very well.
Gaiku draws nails over his scalp, sighing.
My time in Fukuoka was tense. Since leaving these names. Kaishin, I have been careful to stay out of sight by moving on foot or back in the automated delivery vans. I was running out of food, however, and I needed to be in a city for that. Fukuoka is just big enough to get lost in, and so not so large that a ghoul sighting would not go unnoticed. I hid in abandoned buildings and storm drainage systems. For about 2 weeks I managed to stay hidden. On the strain of having to constantly move was wearing on me, however, and I made a mistake.
What happened?
I had to get out of Japan, but all of my contacts in Fukuoka had come up empty-handed when I asked for a way to China. I was running low on money, and I could feel my team catching up with me. A contact of mine in Kumamoto owed me a favor and arranged passage for me if I could reach the city in 48 hours.
Gaiku closes his eyes, resting his face on one palm.
If I had taken my time, I could have made it to Kumamoto without incident, but I let caution slip when I got his email. I thought that if I disguised myself, I could take the train there and get out before my unit got any closer to finding me. I still don't know how they found me. Magical tracking, perhaps, or simply well-developed spy network. Regardless, they found me. They were waiting for me at Hakata Station. It was an ambush.
It's a very public place for an ambush.
It is. I suspect their orders were clear, however. Do whatever it takes to kill me. Civilians expendable. For units like the Red Samurai, ordinary laws do not apply. The mission's success is the only concern. I had taken steps to disguise myself as best I could, relying on the sheer number of people to conceal my presence. I suspected that the team might attack when I was in public, but I did not realize just how expendable the civilians were. When they blew the C4 charges over the station's western entrance just to box me in, I realized how much I had underestimated them. I assumed that the train had derailed, honestly. but then I smelled the telltale acrid vapor of the explosives.
Gaiku wrinkles his nose at the memory.
Once you smell it, you never forget. The plastic explosive that we used was a particularly sharp odor like old cheese. Something to do with the olfactory tag added to help track if it was stolen. I remember stumbling through the dust and the debris, trying to find my way through the rail platforms. They attacked from all sides, using the confusion to strike at me at once. I could hear Ashida and Takagawa behind me. Amore and Saki charged out of the access corridor, just ahead of where I had been standing. Sasaki threw a firewall down behind me, cutting off retreat while Amore started firing.
Sounds like you didn't have much choice but to defend yourself. Gaiku nods, lips pursed.
Yes, that is so. Training took over. I knew I had to survive, and I was not thinking of anything but survival. So I charged Sasaki and Amamore. They were only 15 meters away from me. The only advantage I had was that they were as blinded by the dust as I was, but I could still hear and smell them. Sasaki threw a lightning bolt at me, but I managed to roll under it. As I came up, Amamore's light machine gun was swiveling down. I felt time stretch out as I stared down the barrel. I caught Amamore in the throat with the tip of my sword. It was a maneuver I'd practiced hundreds of times before. There was no resistance as I cut through his trachea, and as he fell and rolled to the side, I could hear him choking for breath as he dropped.
Gaiku exhales a humorless laugh and shakes his head.
It's strange to think how clear that memory is, even now.
What's done is done. You survived, and that's what matters. Gaiku leans towards you, expression intense.
Exactly. In that strike, I learned that lesson, and realized who I truly was as well. What it did mean was that I, an infected monster, was less than a beast, and could still defeat the finest soldiers in the world. Red Samurai Doctrine taught Amamura and the others not to fear me, and this overconfidence would be their death. I realized that I had progressed beyond their ability to understand. My sword was as accurate as ever, but they could not account for it due to their ideological blindness.
That's the danger of letting ideology overrule facts.
Precisely. In all those years I was worried, not good enough to be a member of the Red Samurai, that somehow they had been pulling my weight, but I had been blind to all of the ways in which we were not training, or had avoided the harsh truths about our own abilities. We were so often told of our own excellence that I wondered if we had ever been truly tested. Sasaki was the next to fall. As I turned away from Amore, I realized that she must have seen me strike him. Her eyes were wide, and I could feel her fear and anger as she tried to summon another spell. She seemed caught between healing Amore and attacking me.
Gaiku taps himself on the forehead, just above his right eyes.
It was there on Saki, a downward stroke from the Joden stance. She had hesitated, just as Amore had. I felt the breath go out of her, like someone had deflated a tire, and she just slid down into a pile. I think she was trying to ask me how when I ran.
Did you stay and fight?
My goal was survival, not victory. Takagawa was too far away, and I did not see Ishida. I only smelled him, so I ran. The trains had been shut down due to the explosion, but as long as I could get out of the Hakata station, I knew I could escape.
Hey, Endor, it's great to see you again.
They did not follow me out of the city proper. From what I had heard via the Matrix, the event was reported as a terrorist attack that was thwarted by brave Renraku soldiers.
Gaiku snorts, lips curling downward.
Brave, foolish soldiers.
If you killed 2 of them, why are they still hunting you? Gaiku does not answer immediately. He seems uneasy with the question, fidgeting with his fingers.
I am unsure why that would make a difference. Can you explain what you're driving at?
If you train with your unit so extensively, won't it be impossible to replace the ones you killed?
Ah, I see. I think your mistake is seeing this from a practical perspective. The problem is emotional, not mechanical.
Folding his arms over his chest, Gaiku continues to explain.
The nature of Red Samurai assignments is such that losses are generally 0 or the entire team. In those rare cases where Red Samurai teams suffer partial losses, the remnants of the impacted teams are shuffled together and undergo retraining. Sasaki and Amore will undoubtedly be replaced. The problem is that I cannot be replaced. Simply put, I am not dead. Ordinarily, a missing Red Samurai would be considered dead for purposes of reorganizing teams, but Murako knows precisely what has happened to me. What's more, my failure to do my duty reflects badly on the unit. Others will undoubtedly resist joining my former squad as it has been tainted.
So until they kill you, nobody wants to join their club. Gaiku nods his assent.
Yes, that is the case. They cannot move forward and rebuild the core of their unit unless I die, both because of their own expectations and the stain on their honor. Even if they accepted my decision, the rest of the Red Samurai would not. They've hunted me in Japan, Shanghai, and Beijing, and now I am certain that they will hunt me here in Hong Kong. The cycle will continue endlessly for the foreseeable future. Such is the way of things.
You sound as trapped in the past as they are.
What do you mean by that? They've been hunting me. I am simply trying to make a new life for myself. I fail to see how this is my doing.
One way or another, this will end with either you or them dead. You've got to take action.
What do you believe I've been doing?
Gaiku's face twists in annoyance.
Certainly I have not been allowing them to attack me out of goodwill.
I think sentimentality has left you unable to finish them off.
Ah, yes, because I'm such a weak-willed soldier of fortune that I cannot bear the idea of killing the last vestiges of my old life.
His tone is mocking.
For lack of a better word, is good.
Okay, I can't see the message, but somebody just made it.
System Chuck, just wanted to tip and say that your stream is awesome and stuff.
Holy crap. Okay. So I'm sorry. I don't think the video came up on that, but holy crap. Okay. Now, joke's on you, Endors, because Ak actually donated and gave you credit on that one. Thank you so much, man. It's I was actually going to say there was something I was planning on doing, and I don't quite know how long from now it was going to be. I was going to send you a message just to make sure. No, I know it's been a while. It's been great to have you back. To throw another donation my way. Jesus Christ, dude. Thank you. Oh, God. You guys are fantastic. No, thank you so much. Endors, Akadak. Like I said, I still getting used to the whole donation thing, but thanks for supporting System. Yes, thank you very much, Endors. Especially, I will admit, actually, after Friday's cast, I wasn't feeling that great about it, and also after having to miss some casts for school, I definitely was not really feeling worthy of the streamer title. So having people show up to chat, having people donate, having people host is all stuff that does a little bit more to kind of push me forward and keep me honest. All right.
Certainly that is more likely than the battle simply not going in my favor.
It doesn't have to be a conscious decision. You're avoiding an all-or-nothing confrontation. Gaiku is halfway through pointing an accusatory finger at you, but stops short as you speak.
There may be some truth to what you say. I had not considered that. My instinct to flee may be subconscious. I seek to perfect myself, my skills and my abilities in combat. Perhaps this is not the path that I would have walked when I was younger, but I've been a soldier for so long that I cannot imagine devoting myself to any other trade. This does not mean that I am tied inextricably to my unit. It means that I am shaped by my history, as we are all. I appreciate your concern about my history and my unit, but I assure you, I am doing all right. I must learn to adapt to my new condition and lifestyle on my own. The time will come when they find me in Hong Kong.
So what will you do about your unit when they come looking for you in Hong Kong?
I am unsure. You've given me a great deal to consider, and I do not mean that lightly. There are several actions and possible outcomes I foresee. I could, as I have before, relocate to another city, flee Hong Kong, travel somewhere else further afield. Lagos, perhaps, or Montreal. It would have to be some place where Renraku's influence was minimal, and where the unit's presence would be immediately noticeable. This has been my plan of action in the past. I could also keep a low profile, staying here. Hope they are unable to find precisely where I am hiding. Undoubtedly, Yoshida would command the team to keep looking. I believe it would only be a matter of time before they found me, but if it were a sufficiently long time, they might be recalled. I could also confront them, draw them out into the open at a time and place of my choosing. They are nothing if not predictable in their efforts to follow Red Samurai operational doctrine. That plan could succeed, but it could also put you and civilians at risk. I am unsure about how I would draw them out in the first place.
You need to find a way to fight them. Gaiku sighs, shoulders slumping a little.
I am unsure if that is the wisest course of action. I'm going to need to think about this a great deal. Please, let me think on this. I will have an answer later.
Sure thing. I'll talk to you later. So yeah, sorry about that, Enders. I did read your message though, and that's incredibly kind of you to say. There's actually, so when I missed a couple of the casts, the one point that I did make on Twitter was, you know, in the end, I am very much defined through the studies that I'm doing. I don't know if I'll ultimately pursue them as a, you know, to the PhD level, but I also sort of consider it to be, you know, the source of, you know, whatever unique elements I can bring to the channel. So even if I sometimes you know, have to miss a cast for it, in the end it does provide me more material to get through. And my plans for the stream, as I've always said, kind of go over several years. If I start working, then that allows me to, you know, to build a proper streaming PC. I'll have a little bit more of a set schedule, and I'll be able to do more with the stream. If I go for the PhD, it means that it'll be a bit more, you know, it'll be like the current grad school thing. I'm going to have to put studies ahead, but it'll also give a certain kind of stability to life as well, because that's a several-year commitment. There will be at least kind of a, you know, a role in terms of, you know, research time and so on and so forth. And so in some ways I could consider that a job as well, though, you know, certainly a lot of my free time would be taken up with those studies. We'll see how, you know, again, it depends how life winds up turning out. I also was taking a look at a couple of job options. But either way, I fully intend to keep streaming as often as I can and support regulars like yourself and even the new people who've come in. There's a lot of people here who do a lot to make sure that that I keep going and giving me the encouragement when I'm not feeling 100%. So I know you're not an accountant, but an economist is more or less the same thing. Can you set up your retirement fund for you? Well, funnily enough, I actually have a friend who is an accountant. I would probably wind up wasting all of your money. I don't believe economists always necessarily make the best investments. Sometimes they do. But the principles that go into studying the sort of the economy theoretically or in the abstract sense that economists do don't necessarily always translate into sound investment or accounting practices. All right, so I'm going to head to Repulse. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's see if I can find out any more info. I don't think... I don't remember what I was supposed to... Well, I kind of know what I was supposed to do on this mission, but not exactly. Okay, well, I'm definitely taking Gobbet. Isabel... This is one where we weren't supposed to go loud, so I think in this one what I'm going to do is I'm going to take... Gobbet's the shaman. Isabel is my decker, so in case we have some kind of a security system to go through. And then Ractor has the drone, so I might be able to put that through sneaky places as well. So, what happened to Sleepbringer? You haven't seen him? He was streaming yesterday, wasn't he? He's definitely still around. Welcome, Joseph, by the way. But I can't tell you exactly what's happened to him. You arrive at the eponymously named Repulse Bay, a gleaming hotel and apartment building on the shores of Repulse Bay, Hong Kong Island. Rolling storm clouds choke the sky, lending this structure a sinister appearance. As you push through the doors and into the building, a sudden break in the clouds reveals a sun that has gone red as blood. As you make your way to the ground floor elevator, the attendant pays you no mind. As the car begins to climb, you hear the sounds of merriment drawing closer. As the doors slide open, you find Neville Ma's party in full swing. Yeah, Joseph, I know. I mean, I've been definitely quite busy with school, so even like streamers like Seriously Clara, who I mod for, it's not always been, it's not actually, I've not been that consistent in attending streams. So sorry I can't give you a little more info. And yeah, Miss Cupcake, I'm in the same boat. I'm trying to push it out as long as I can. I'm actually half an hour past what I said I would do, but I'm trying to, especially with the new faces and old faces coming back, I'm trying to push the stream as much as I can. And of course I have this effect on all people, making them drowsy. Or bored is probably the better term. Yeah, you know what? Let's take a quick look at the karma and see. I don't know if I want to put the points in or not. It's tempting. Yeah, let's go for it. The elevator disgorges you onto the mezzanine with little fanfare. Off in the distance, you hear the sounds of clinking glasses, carefree laughter, and silverware on china. Parties, breaking and entering, blackmail. Sounds like a good time to me. Wonder if Neville has an open bar. The rat on her shoulder chirps. What's first, 71? I say we go party. Let's get to that party and see if we can dig anything up. If you think you can get us in, lead the way. She rubs her hands together excitedly. The catering at these things is always top notch. We're talking caviar, 71. Booze with gold flecks in it. I think I might smell pheasant. She shakes her head at Gobbet. How can you be hungry? I just watched you power down a dozen dumplings and a pitcher of oxtail soup. Miss Cupcake, that was pure sarcasm. It's that is quite late. It's only 10:35 here, but I didn't get much sleep last night, so. Oh, I'm not hungry. I don't think I could eat another bite, but I do have a messenger bag and about 20 empty pockets. She pats the bag at her side. Come on, 71. Let's go mingle. And on that, I'm not going to end the stream, but I think I'm going to... For next Monday, I actually want to have a little bit of action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head out of Shadowrun, and I'm going to go back to Variety, because I know it's been a while since we've had another game. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I guess we did Satellite Rain before. As fun as it would be to do Satellite Rain, I'm going to just run through a few things in the library, see if there's anything that fits. And we'll either get some consensus from chat, or I do Miss Cupcake and I still have some homework that I need to typeset, so But we'll do a little bit. We'll do something a little bit different to close out the night, and then I'm looking for people to host. So I know that was a short run of Shadowrun. There wasn't necessarily a whole lot that went on during that, but I didn't want to get thrown in too far in that because I know the saves are not always consistent. So, I mean, there's a few ways I can do this. I can just start listing off some of the games that I have in my library. Oh God, this is going to wreck my my frames. Okay. So, I mean, one thing that I could do is just pick something. Next Monday you won't have meetings halfway through the night? Then excellent to hear, Anders. Then we'll be ready to give you the full experience. I think what I'll just do is I'll start saying stuff that I've got installed, and you guys can let me know if you... Okay, actually, this will be good. So I'm interested... anybody who sees a game that they're interested in, even if I don't play it tonight, this is actually some feedback that I'd love to get in terms of things that you guys would like to see. Because I've got a big list of games that I actually want to play on stream. But it'd be kind of neat to see how it goes. Oh, Adventure Capital. I'll do a very quick round on that while we go through the rest. There's Adventure Capitalist. All right, so Crusader Kings 2 is on Fridays. I have a feeling I'm going to be salty as all hell if I do Dota 2, but I am willing to maybe try around to that. Endless Space we've had before. Infinity Wars, as far as I can tell. Hey, Weebro. Yeah, you just hosted. Sorry, I didn't even notice. Thank you very much for that host, Weebro. How the hell are you tonight? We're actually going to be wrapping up a little bit soon, but I'm getting some... I'm just right now trying to get a bit of a pulse from, one, in terms of what people would like to see me play in future, but also something that we can maybe put on stream to close out the evening. So Crusader Kings 2, I'm going to say is off the books for tonight because we'll be doing that on Friday. So you've got Dota 2, Endless Space. Infinity Wars, unfortunately, wasn't working the last time I was going to do that, so we'll have to set that aside. Risk of Rain, loved that game. Civilization 5, we haven't played in forever. XCOM, we just did Adventure Capitalist. Antichamber, we need to get back to one day. Not very action-packed, but Awesome Knots is fun. I'd have to play bots only, though. Battle Block Theater, we can do Besieged again. We've got Binding of Isaac Rebirth, which I've played a fair bit of, but I haven't played on stream. Late Night Turkey. Ooh. By the way, for those of you who don't know him, Weebro is another Team Panda member, probably one of the first big figures that I was kind of really had to jump behind. I should put on some music while we pick a game. One of the first, like major people who I put a big push behind in terms of somebody who I wanted to see on the team. And he's, again, along with Jesse Quill, one of the people who makes Team Panda really special and is somebody who's definitely given me a lot of support over the time and is an absolutely fantastic streamer. All right, so we've got Risk of Rain and XCOM. Afterbirth is going to be coming out soon. I hadn't even heard of it. Okay, so you've got Risk of Rain, XCOM, Rebirth, Darkest Dungeon. Oh, I've done Darkest Dungeon before, Weebro. Okay, good to know. I haven't played Borderlands 2 in forever. Brutal Legend I haven't played in a while too. Just got City Skylines. I'm finding it enjoyable, but I think it looks like... My cities always wind up looking like ass. Cook Serve Delicious is a fantastic game, by the way, if you guys haven't seen this. I know everybody wants to see me play CSGO. Again, I'd only be able to play it against bots. Crypt of the Necrodancer wasn't working properly last time I tried it, but I can always give it a try if you want. Darkest Dungeon, we just got a vote for. It's hard, Rebro. His voice mixed with the narrator's voice actually makes you physically hurt. You guys. Democracy 3. It's actually been a while since I've done that one. As you can see, assassination in the background. Dex is currently updating. We are actually going to do that in the future. Divinity Original Sin, which I haven't. We did a playthrough with Yip, and then he stopped streaming. Dungeon of the Endless, one of the first things maybe not first, but one of the ones that I streamed early on. Endless Legend sadly isn't working. Europa Universalis 4, so kind of a little bit more like Crusader Kings 2. Everyone needs to check out Cook Serve Delicious. Okay. Frozen Cortex, Frozen Synapse. Frozen Synapse is the soundtrack you hear going on right now. These are two fantastic strategy games. I really, really like Frozen Cortex, although I've played quite a bit of Frozen Synapse and I think it's good. FTL, I know we play that occasionally. Gods Will Be Watching. I remember that was the first thing that Endors watched me play. I have actually beaten that last chapter. I know I never got back to it. Oh, this is such a brutal scene. Grim Fandango. I'm so happy that I have this game. I've not played hardly any of it. Still haven't finished Half-Life Episode 1. Yeah, Yip's a fantastic guy. I hope I get to see him a little more often. Halfway, this is actually a Vancouver one, and this is something that Eastbright Bay, also known as I Smell Like Poo, actually got me for my birthday. So I was kind of waiting for him to be in chat for me to play this, but we can always give that a try. It's a little bit like XCOM. Hand of Fate we still need to finish. Hector. So if you guys want to see me play, horror games, Hector is one of the horror games. Hotline Miami 2. I've only done like the first mission on it. I'll be honest with you, I'm not feeling up for Kerbal Space Program tonight, but that is something we will do again in the future. Left 4 Dead 2, if you really want to see me do first-person shooters at my quality. Haven't touched Lone Survivor. That 1 minute I've played is just to make sure that it loaded up. I haven't even started Grim Fandango. Luftrausers, again, one of the early games that I used to play. Massive Chalice, more Double Fine for you good folks. Monaco, what a fantastic game. I got rid of Octodad. Oh, I have been playing Penumbra Overture, so that's another. Oh, this is really cool. If you shake the mouse around, oh, I can't see. Where'd the mouse go? Where'd the mouse go? There it is. El Capitan, folks. So Penumbra, if you guys again want to see me play a horror game, I've got that in. Quintet is actually designed to be played with other people, so I can't do that. Did you fight Achilles and Hector? No, Endors. It is not that Hector. Quiplash. If you guys want to do some Quiplash, I did get the DLC for it. Portal, you can finish a run. Do I have Portal installed? It's not installed, but I can put it on if you guys want to watch that at some point in the future. Rim Capsule's kind of it's more like a mobile kind of game. We can do Satellite Rain again. I know the last time was pretty clowny, but System Shock, you should check out Soma. I almost bought it, but then I thought I'd maybe wait for it to go on. Well, you know, Endor's just donated. I really should pick up Soma, seeing as he got it, but Civilization Beyond Earth. I think this is an underrated game. Stanley Parable. God, this is such a good game. I know we've done Sunless Sea before. I feel like this has not quite gotten the respect from me that it deserves. This is actually one that people donated to the stream. If you guys want to see me go full salt, so we got Super Hexagon. Surgeon Simulator, if you want to see me do ridiculous. I have done this on stream before. There's sort of the Stars of the Pit. I'm vetoing this one, but I can do that in the future. My friend is playing the Beginner's Guide, actually. Synonymy is kind of an interesting one, but not exactly. I don't know if it's a big streaming game. Talos Principle. Now, I have been wanting to play this one on stream. I'm currently in the middle of a game, though, so there would be potential spoilers if I played that right now. Terraria is probably better played with friends. This War of mine, I was wanting to get around to on stream, but never have. I can do more Titan Souls, though I need to hook up the controller for that. Transistor I've streamed before. Doesn't quite work because I have to compete with the narrator. Trine 2. We actually did Trine 1 as part of the Extra Life Challenge, and I am astonished that I don't have Outlast on here. Shame on me. VVVV and Wasteland 2. Alright, so I'm not seeing any new titles come through. So what we're going to do is we're going to start some XCOM. I never know. Okay, I'm going to try run in window and hope it doesn't go too crazy. Well, this isn't quite working for me. I hope this nope. Nope, that is the guess I'm doing full screen then. Man, if only I had the voice acting capacity of the guy who does the who's like the United Nations rep. Ewok Fuzzy Nuts. How the devil are you, my friend? Ewok Fuzzy Nuts is another member. We were talking about him earlier in the cast, actually. He's the reason why we are so close to that magic number that everybody in Vancouver keeps talking about. Oh, God. Okay. So this isn't going to work because I can't see chat now. Okay. I'm sorry to tease you guys like this. I'm going to work. I think I have an idea of how to get XCOM working, but I'm going to need to play around with some of my settings for a little bit. If I just try to set the resolution to what I have right now, it's probably going to run a little too laggy. So I'm going to come up with my next best, and I will do something that I consider to be at least be in the same spirit as XCOM. Wait a minute. This doesn't have a full screen? Oh, that's right. It winds up looking weird if I put it on full screen, so... Oh God, sorry, so yeah, I was gonna say so. No, I wait a minute. I was saying, Ewok, I was saying you were one of those people who was bringing my viewer count up, even though I sometimes only spend a couple minutes in your channel to harass you and then leave. Yeah, I gotta keep the desktop on. Oh wait, you're talking about this thing. Yeah, look at that. Look at it. All right. Let's do... I just want to do like a single game. All right, we'll continue. This is actually a knockout game, so I'm probably going to wind up getting horribly wrecked. This is such a good soundtrack, too. Bob No Pants Jansky here, and it's time to get into this match between System Shock and Mentor Brack Auditor. I'm the polling database for relevant information as we speak, Bob. It's great to be here in the chapel. I wish you a good game, System Shock. Let us act as a guide and exemplar to our culture. Alright, this game is Robot Football. So... this follows kind of in the same spirit as Frozen Synapse. I can't remember the... there we go. So, Frozen Synapse is kind of a little Lego-y looking. This one has I think a sort of a nicer overall look to it. Basically, the idea about these games are that it's turn-based. The turns take place simultaneously, and you basically work out a plan of about 30 seconds worth of action. And in this case, it's a sports game. So I just don't know... Okay, so they are heading south. So... there's a few things that I can consider here. So they're going to be picking up the ball here. I'm a little lucky in terms of where I am right now. Unless south is like this way, at which point I'm totally hosed. I'm pretty sure this is like mid-game. So, okay, basically it's... Oh, sorry, hang on. You do the same thing and you walk, always gotta scan for some news. Well, as I said in, as I said on Twitter, right? I respect a woman for her mind. I just want calculus problems. Is it bad when people share their desktops you're looking for porn on it? Go ahead. Go ahead. Look all you want. I really gotta get onto this game. Sorry, guys. So basically, the big thing that I'm looking for... Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the FPS for this. I thought it was... I thought the game was a little bit better. Probably it's all my windows that I have open, actually. I gotta fix that up for next stream. Anyways, the big idea here is that, assuming that they're not just running, like, if they're heading this way, I'm done. But basically, if they have to get through here, I have them in sort of perfect positions. They're, you know, the best that they could hope for from picking up at this spot would be to throw it. Wants us to integrate evac. Very cute, Miss Cupcake. You know what? Best thing, I'm just gonna prime it. We'll see what happens. Okay, cool. So basically, this was the start of the turn. So they picked up the ball now. the whole positioning that I worked out here was to make sure that this is totally closed off to them. So, I mean, if they throw back here, then, you know, okay, game over. This guy is not going to move from his spot. Rex Gruber has got this down. So what I need to worry about now is basically how are they going to handle the next few turns. It's possible that they wind up doing like a running play or something like that. So, let me just get an idea. Oh wow, okay, so he winds up clobbering my guys. Well, if he's running, what happens then? This is basically what the game is. This is basically what the game is like. You wind up sort of iterating your way through a few different kinds of strategies. The biggest thing that I want to avoid here is him doing a big running play and ruining my chances that way. The other thing that he could try and do is actually throw. So if he takes the ball and like throws it, I gotta get used to these controls again. So if he does something like this, there's really nothing I can do about it. So I think I'm going to be a baby. I'm actually going to go a little defensive. This will at least give me sort of the option in terms of what's happening next. So I'm going to worry about just the rest of my... I'm going to worry about the rest of my team now. So let's think about... I got to think about how I'm... Actually... No, this guy is going to stay put because this sort of blocks... This blocks anybody extra. As for him, I think he gets... Yeah, he gets tossed. Okay. So this is a little bit too... In my opinion, this is a little too safe.
System Prime.
But I'm not entirely sure what he's going to do with such a bad position, so... he's going to completely wreck me. Yeah, so he winds up getting the point no matter what. I didn't plan that well. So I didn't actually know. Basically what happened there is, like, obviously that's a big throw over the end like this. I didn't actually know that you could pass over these. So I'm a bit on the back foot now. But we should be able to get through this. If I can pick up one of these, if I can pick up one of these little blue dots, I should be in a good spot. Or I could just try and do the same play that he did to me. This is not my favorite mat, but let's see what we can do with this.
System primed.
Okay, well, I mean, he's just doing the same thing that I did, so... But somehow, I can't throw it over the... Huh. Funny. So yeah, I mean, okay, that sucks. Basically, I've lost this. Okay, good. So yeah, I definitely need to sort of get reacquainted to this game. Does anybody have any questions about it? Because I have a feeling that I'm getting a little,
System Prime.
I'm getting a little too focused into the game, and I'm not doing my normal commentary. Man, I'm getting really outplayed here. I think this is just GG. There's nothing I can do about this.
System Prime.
Wait a minute, so I'm the one picking up the... That can't be right. I'm just gonna... I've kind of given up on this this match. This is basically turn-based football? Yeah, basically. I'm not representing it well. It doesn't actually tell me... Oh, it's 4 turns until the game is over, so they basically just need to run out the clock. But let's see what we've got here.
System Prime.
Okay, not bad. So what I need to do now is get myself into a position to make the most of this play.
System Prime.
So the idea here, like, basically I anticipated the play that they were going to make again, so in this case I'm going to intercept the ball midair. Now, basically we have 2 turns to get this into overtime, so it's kind of a lost cause, but it's also not impossible. Unfortunately, it looks like we are completely blocked. Oh no, we can make this work. We've definitely lost this though. Actually, maybe the better move is to keep him in place. And we just do a running play afterwards.
System Prime.
Okay, well they pretty much have me, so I'm just gonna do something ridiculous. We'll see how far I can get it with this.
System Prime.
I'll show you the full playthrough at the end. Oh wow, he didn't make it anywhere at all.
You lost the match.
Alright, so I'll do a full replay. Hopefully this will look a little bit better than last time.
Go. Go. You lost the match.
And in this mode, it's elimination, so basically this is the end of the game. Your season has come to an ignominious end. And eliminated from the league. Which is fine. So I guess... I always thought that there was like just a single one-off match, but apparently not. So I will do a... standard match. And this time I'm going to do a better job of sort of explaining each individual turn. So, Cortex, the glorious nation's favorite pastime. When human sport dissipated, the robots came to rule this field of play. Dumb actors connected directly to the minds of elite coaches. One season would come to change the nature of the game forever. Coach OS tip. Please press next event to advance or click on my face for advanced options if you really have to. I don't need the advanced options. Please do remind me your name and also any details you'd like to change about the team this season. We'll go for... I think we'll just go for all the same stuff. If you can't remember the actual rules of our sport, please watch this short presentation. I don't think we need it. Assistant call, I'd like a quick word with you. Ah yes, hello System Jock. I thought I'd better remind you of your contract with the team. We're somewhat pressed financially this year. As such, we'll be relying on match win bonuses from sponsors. This means you can't lose a single game. Yes, I did actually say that. Subsection 12. But look on the bright side. If you do well in a match, we'll be rewarded with some new tech from one of our manufacturers. I know, we're doomed, but do try to put a brave face on it if you can. I'll be here if you need anything. Just click my convenient icon in your Coach OS system and I'll come running to your beck and call. Alright, difference engines could be a threat this season, Nomura. Obviously news, phaseball viewing figures could exceed those for Cortex this season, and we detail the worst coaching blunders of all time. Well, the entire game last time sounds like a candidate. Opponent call. Your opponent this week, Administrator Nomura, is on the line. Hello, System Chalk. Good to see you again. I think you'll find us much improved this system. We've got some new technology under the hood. You'll see I'm serious about returning SXT to prominence. It'll be intriguing to see if you can keep up. We've not seen either of these teams yet, have we? Or have we? I'll admit, I've been asleep. Alright, System Shock, let's see if we can get those viewing figures up. So the story behind this character is she is sort of an administrator for the league. So this time I'm going to be a little bit more careful in terms of how I handle the situation. So there's running plays, there's passing plays. In terms of the coverage that this character can get, it won't let me actually throw the ball. So in this case, I'll just worry about sort of getting myself into a good position. I think trying to move up here is not a bad call. I just kind of want to plug up the obvious spots at the moment. Just get kind of an idea of these movements. So, I mean, to my mind, this sort of covers all of my bases. They could try something long and sneaky along the end here, but what I'm hoping is that this guy is going to be able to intercept any of that. So, we'll see what happens. I'll prime the turn. So, in this case, we have some ideas in terms of... Yeah. Sorry, just reading Twitter. Alright, so by the indicator of this, of the AI, it seems to feel I'm not in a good position. So now I need to consider the options. Probably what's going to happen actually is they're going to try a play like this. So if I move... Okay, that's covered. If they try any funny business like this, it's still covered. And if they go any further to the right, my other guy should cover that. So I think I'm going to push my advantage a little bit along here. Bot's been crazy recently. Girlfriend says it has to do with Twitch not having email authorization to create accounts now. Okay, well that, I mean, certainly something changed. It never used to be this bad. I wonder why they made the change, though. Okay, so this is a little bit of a concern. I want to see whether or not blue can actually get away with this, though. Yeah, so I just wind up blocking him. So that's not a worry. What are they planning? So this is a little bit more of sort of what the idea behind the game is. So when you, obviously, if you're going to play this against a human player, you're going to be sort of iterating through a few of these different strategies and just kind of seeing how your plans turn out. I think I just want to go aggressive and see... Okay, and in the weirdest case scenario, can they actually get away with doing something like this? Yeah, apparently my guy... Oh, good, okay. So I'm feeling pretty confident in terms of my positioning here. So again, if you're playing this game against a human, you're going to be spending some time sorting out. I mean, this game can go over days. You get to pick when you take your turn. But I'm feeling like I've set myself up properly for a defense. Thank you, Webro. I was thinking I probably made a mistake playing this game. I will do XCOM next time for sure. Well, next time I do an open game for sure. I will finish this round, and I'm probably going to be heading to bed myself, because now I'm over an hour past when I wanted to finish. So let's see how this turn turns out. Okay, an interception, so we're good. Oh man, and it's this guy who got it, so this is easy.
System Prime. Go.
I don't remember the game being kind of as stuttery as this. This might have something to do with the billion windows I have open, but it's a run by Rana. With that point zone, it's 9 points. I don't want to talk about that. Okay, so in this case, I basically am in the position that that Nomura was before. So in this case, I'm going to be trying something a little more unconventional. I need to make sure I'm in some defensive positions. I might try a running play. But my alternative will also be to... Gotta think about this. Okay. I mean, an unconventional play would be to throw it here, but I don't think that really limits my options. So I think I'm gonna go... I think I'm just gonna wind up going for the extremes. Yeah, I'm gonna go for some just very boring plays at the moment. So the idea is just to sort of see roughly where he moves his characters. If there's a opening that comes up, fantastic. If not, then I just kind of toss the thing as far as I can manage. Oh no, here's an idea. Okay, that's kind of incredible if I'm able to do that. I don't believe... Okay, so I'm taking a little bit of a gamble doing this, but it actually might pay off. So the idea here is that they're most likely going to think that either the pass is coming to this guy or one of these guys over to the side. The problem is that if this guy doesn't get into range of being kicked, then he probably winds up tackling my runner, and I just give them the ball for no reason. But this is one of those playing the player sort of situations where it's a move so dumb that it might actually work just because of how unexpected it is. Endors is proud to be part of the problem. Good to know. Alright, let's see if I get away with murder. Oh, I am boned. But at least I got like 4 points out of that. Gruber gets a solid 4 points on that run before Jung brings the pain. I once hit a guy in the head and hit a guy and his head came clean off, but okay. It'll be tight, but we can make it through here. Okay, so I need to figure out where they can throw to. So this is okay. The best reply to that... Yeah, he can't do anything with that once I'm in position. I just need to run ahead a little bit. So what's possible is they wind up throwing further. The other thing that he could actually try is a throw all the way here. I don't have that covered very well. So
System Prime.
I might actually wind up giving up a point here, but we'll see. Nope, I anticipated right. So the unexpected move would be to throw the ball to the end here. If I wound up leaving my guy at the sort of in the center, then this would have been a guaranteed score. But in this case, I wind up picking up the ball, and I get to spend basically the next little bit anticipating my next move. All right.
System Prime.
At this point, I'm kind of just exploring where they wind up moving after this. Okay, so first question is, can they do anything about this guy? No. This decides my next move, I think. By the way, this track that's coming on is probably my favorite on the soundtrack. So it's pretty unlikely that I'm going to be able to throw it over like this, but I want to keep the option open. Yeah, I'm thinking the play is going to be made in the bottom corner here, but just in case. In this case, I just need to make sure that he's running out. So basically, I have everybody either staying in a position that I want them to be in, or they are
System Prime.
they're getting into a better position. All right, now this one's a little tricky. I think I've just created problems for myself. Oh, there we go. And what happens if he's charging straight for him? Okay, so it's tight, but we can probably do something interesting with this.
System Prime.
Okay, this is cheeky as hell if I do this, but this would never actually work, but... what I am a little bit curious about, though, is what if I take the ball... Oh, I can't actually throw that. Right, you're going to go lay down and watch some Star Trek. You're good, sir. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks a lot for stopping by, Equal. It was always a pleasure to have you in here. Okay, so the question now is, can I get to the edge of the map before he catches me? Okay, so if he doesn't anticipate a running play, I'm okay. What happens if I get greedy and take the other? Okay, well, either he anticipates the running play and I'm screwed, or he doesn't. So I think at this point we go for as many points as we can and cross over to the end zone.
System Prime.
Oh, you know what? I really should have moved my other guys though, because if he catches me, then I'm done for. Yep, and he anticipated it. Okay. And actually, there's nothing I can do about this. So what's gonna happen is he's gonna throw this to the far end. And I have nobody covering it because I got really greedy with that move. Yeah, there's nothing I can really do with this. So I mean, there's only 2 turns left on the match, so in this case I've still kind of gotten away with it, but it's actually really sloppy of me to only focus on that one move. Yeah.
System Prime.
No point in going any further on that. That was my bad.
You won the match.
But didn't matter. They got their points and the match is over. So we'll watch the full replay as we always do, so you guys can see roughly what it looks like in real time.
Won the match.
All right, and that is Frozen Cortex. I could examine my new robots, but I am well past my expiry time, and chat's kind of starting to thin out, so I think now's a good time to call it a night. Let me just take a quick second here and find somebody for us to host. We have got... Oh, there's a few people who I want to host. In this case, I'm going to... Sorry. Econ talk. Because Soma was mentioned in chat, I'm going to host W. Shan tonight. He's doing the Midnight Society with Soma, and I'm glad my instructors don't watch this. Sorry about the notifications, guys. But yeah, I want to take a second. Thank you very much for everybody for the hosts. Sorry we didn't get too far into Shadowrun tonight, but I was sort of expecting to finish a little bit earlier than I did. Curiously, somebody donating and getting a couple of extra hosts tends to make me go a little bit later than I had anticipated. So thank you, as always, for coming out, hanging out, being such a great audience, especially when I don't always do the best as far as scheduling and keeping on top of things. I will always do my best to get a little bit better in terms of the quality of my casts and the regularity, and the patience you guys show while I work on that is always a very something I'm very grateful for, and I never want to take for granted. So with that in mind, I will send you guys off to a much better caster than I, W. Shan, playing Soma tonight, and we will see you all Friday for some Crusader Kings 2. I will do my best to do a reading stream sometime this week, but that will be contingent on the completion of my homework. So